And Bodie Miller.
Yeah.
Beautiful 2-year-old son of Ryan and Noreen, who's over there taking pictures of this whole situation. Bodie, what did you think of Dad tonight? Was he good? He's good. Excellent.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, Daddy is good. Daddy stopped 45 shots, or made 45 saves on 47 shots tonight. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, the last Vancouver Canuck we had on the show was traded 2 days later. That was Alex Burrows to Ottawa, but the trade deadline has passed, so you will still be here, Ryan, on Tuesday. We'll get to that in a second, but we've got to talk about tonight's game, Louis.
Yeah, that was just an outstanding performance by you. 45 saves. They came at you from all angles right from the get-go. Is that maybe one of your best performances in a losing effort that you've ever had? Like, you were just in the zone.
I felt good tonight, for sure. I definitely a little frustrated to crack there with 3 minutes left, and we were trying to get that last push, but anytime you can keep these guys at 1 or 2 and we can fight to stay in the game, it was it's a good effort.
Ryan, you said not long ago that you needed to elevate your play to force management into a conversation about next season, and you certainly have done that. You're the biggest reason the Canucks were in the playoff picture for as long as they were. Jim Benning said this week that he wants to re-sign you here for next year. Do you have any idea what you want to do?
Well, I'm open to anything. I want to have a discussion with Jim. Right now I haven't seen him in a while, and our families like to hear a lot. And Bodie was born up here, so he's got the dual Canadian citizenship, and it's been a nice experience. So I want to finish strong and have the conversation with Jim and ownership and see what's going on, and then go from there.
So nothing says you won't be here next year.
There's nothing to say I won't be, but I want to take everything into consideration: my family, this little guy, and the right situation hockey-wise, and see what happens. But I have to have that conversation to give you any more indication.
Louis,
how much more hockey do you think you got left in you? I know you really take pride in keeping your body in tip-top shape, but just personally, how much more do you think you have?
I'd like to say I'd play until they kick me out of the league, because you can't get back. Okay, you're done.
Going to mommy.
That was pretty good. He lasted about 4 minutes.
He lasted longer than I thought. Sorry, there you go. I don't know. My cousins, Kelly, Kevin, Kip Miller, they played a long time in the NHL, and their conversation with us has always been play as long as possible. They had to, eventually end their careers at some point, and that was, that's hard. No matter what you do. Kelly went back into coaching for a bit, and he's back at Michigan State coaching, and Kevin and Kip have been involved at youth hockey levels, but it's never going to be the same, and you have to get it out of your system, and I'm hoping to do that. But I'm hoping to, also weigh my family into that discussion as well. It gets harder and harder with our travel to be away from them.
Well, the way you played tonight, I think, suggests to everybody that you've got a lot of hockey left in you. Here's a tweet from Gary Sedin. How have you enjoyed playing with Daniel and Henrik?
It's been amazing. They're quality people first, and then when you watch them play hockey, the unique way they see the ice is quite amazing. I just, early in my career, we never really get to play the Canucks every year, with that schedule the way it was. And when you got to actually experience it on the ice, it was like watching a different game sometimes, the way they think and the way they play in the zone. So watching it daily and then getting to know them as people, they're outstanding people and they have great families, and they're, for all the right reasons, they do things the right way.
How long before you could tell them apart? Or can you yet?
Yeah, no, I got it. It takes a couple weeks early on, but you notice little things about them and the way they carry themselves. They're very much alike, but they have their own personalities and their own mannerisms. And right now it helps. Danny's got a little scar on the cheek going from earlier in the season. So the last month or so, it's been a little easier to catch them first thing in the morning. Sometimes if you're seeing just one of them and you're a little hazy, it takes you a second. But that's helped.
Your glove hand is as sharp as it's ever been. Just ask Henrik Zetterberg and Corey Perry. First, the save at Joe Louis Arena this season on Zetterberg, who had the whole net from 100 feet away until you snagged it. On the list of acrobatic saves in your career, where does this one rate?
I haven't done one of those in quite a number of years. I think my dad said I did one in juniors that was a little bit similar to that, and he was at that game watching. So, that was more of a, I'm just sick of, we were down 1 goal and we had a chance, and then they scored late and we were down 2 goals, and it's just, you get tired of seeing the puck go in the empty net. So I was going to give it a go, and it worked out.
What did Henrik say to you there when he came up to you? Do you remember?
I was a little angry at the time, so I think I didn't hear him quite right, but something to the effect of, come on, wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not supposed to stop that.
Yeah.
And then Corey Perry left shaking his head here at Rogers Arena in December. This was all about you not quitting on the play. What do you think when you see a replay of this one?
Well, that one meant a little more because in that game we were down early, and we were able to fight back, and we were able to get the win that night, and kind of started us on a stretch that got us back into the picture. So those kind of plays you want to make that make a difference and kind of set things in motion. You never know when it'll come, so you just have to work for it, and you feel good about those after the game, especially when the game can turn your way.
You were drafted from the Sioux Indians of the North American Hockey League, and then you went on to have 3 spectacular seasons at Michigan State. The Millers remain the first family of Michigan State hockey, starting with your grandfather Butch, who went there in 1955 from Regina, and he turned the entire program around. All told, from the Millers at Michigan State, over 60 combined NHL seasons, 29 varsity letters, 2 Hobie Bakers, one of which you won. But no Miller's gone there in a while. Now you have nephews. Is there anyone who can rekindle the Miller legacy at Michigan State?
Well, they'd be coming down the pipe.
Or do we have to wait for Bodie?
We might have to wait a bit, but I think Jasper Kip's youngest boy there, I think he's getting in the game. He's a ways away yet, but Skylar's at Hope College now playing hockey, and Cameron he's playing at Okemos, and I think he's a senior now and graduating. So, our family's had a great relationship with hockey, and it's been nice that everyone's had a chance to play and get something out of it, and it meant a lot to us at Michigan State there. And the only guy missing from that picture is my brother Drew, and that was at my high school graduation, 98, I think.
Yeah, it's a while ago for sure.
It's been a while.
Well, that leads to this. It's your 15th pro season, and I was quite taken by this quote from you. You said it, I think, late last season. I'm just a skinny kid from Michigan, and I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I laugh at that. That was your quote.
Yeah,
What's
I do.
so funny about it?
Well, I do. I mean, most people, they associate pro athletes more with the guys I see who are just specimens, and but I feel like I've found a way to just make it work for me, and then the way I see the game has worked out, and so I get some satisfaction every year. I get to start the season. I get some satisfaction out of being fairly skinny and still can push the guys, and I don't know. I just think it's a little bit funny. And it gives hope to all the skinny boys.
Gladly give you a few pounds of mine. There you go. You can have them.
Well, it's Ryan. It's no longer just about you, and it hasn't been now for a while. You've been married now for 6 years to Noreen DeWolf, who has made her mark in Hollywood, and she's here tonight.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, you and Noreen welcomed the beautiful little boy we saw a moment ago, Bodie, your first child. So how have your priorities changed?
They changed a lot. When I met Noreen, I knew right away she was someone special, and it's been a great relationship with her, and we both just try to encourage each other to do what we love and do it to the best of our abilities. Knowing that it would be stressful on the family side, we do go long stretches without seeing each other, and especially with Bodie in the mix now. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Even with the closer proximity here to Vancouver, just that we're traveling so much, and she's trying to maintain her career, and that's life, and I wouldn't trade it. We got a beautiful little boy, and we have a great relationship, and she's the love of my life, and can't say enough good things about her. The way she's supported me, and it's a lot on the ladies, and I know a lot of times she feels like a single mom when I'm traveling, and she's got a lot of responsibilities with Bodie, and that's where life gets a little bit more challenging. You want to do as much as you can, but hockey is it's tough in that regard.
Yeah, but you want her to have a full and complete career, as you've said.
Yeah,
her quote when she was pregnant, my son is telling me from my belly he's going to be a hockey player. You've already had Bodie on skates. We have a video here. Are you ready to predict that he'll be drafted in 2033?
I sure hope so. I hope he's shooting pucks, though.
Starting them young.
Yeah. Those are my old skates, too, the ones I started on.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're
That's
the
impressive.
old early 80s Bowers. He's starting to get that age, though. We can get him out there more. I'm hoping actually maybe tomorrow or Tuesday we can get him out with some free ice and mess around.
But before that, before you had him on the ice, a few one-timers, you actually sent this out via Twitter, and you tweeted it actually to Bo Horvat's attention. He's pretty good. Look at that hand-eye coordination there.
Yeah, I was working with Bo on his one-timers.
He's a righty, too. I like that. Get that right hand lower on the stick.
Yeah, it ended up being his top hand. He switched a little bit to lefty now.
Oh,
but
there you go.
It's a little creepy because it's our security cameras in his room there. And I thought it was too good, so I took the freeze frame and the video from it and I played it out. And it was just too nice to see that at that age. He was only 13 months old and, and just really going for it.
Going to take a break. Ryan Miller of the Vancouver Canucks, our guest on After Hours. We'll continue live from Rogers Arena in a moment. Back at Rogers Arena in Vancouver as we continue with After Hours. The subject of tonight's Inquisition is Ryan Miller, 45 saves on 47 shots. What are you drinking here to stay hydrated?
Well, I just got done with a shake there, and I'm just putting some water down. But it's pretty amazing now. They got shakes for every situation, and they got it staggered during the game when they want you to have them. So it's come a long way from when I started. Someone
sent a tweet out to suggest that you might be too exhausted to answer any questions, or if you did show up, you'd have an IV attached to you.
My conditioning feels pretty good. I was getting a little shaky in the second period. The legs were burning, but like I said, we hydrate pretty well in between periods, so that keeps that at bay, and we can reload tonight.
I'm not sure, Ryan, if you've heard this, but goaltenders are generally considered to be weird with all sorts of idiosyncrasies. Objectively speaking, does any of that apply to you?
Of course. I mean, everyone's a little different. Everyone's a little weird. And I have my hang-ups or tics like anybody else. You can ask my family and my wife about how I am kind of in season, or when it shifts to summertime, Ryan, I'm a little bit different. So, I mean, but handling the travel, the pressure, and all that stuff, you build routines, you build things, and so that you don't have to think so much, and that's the kind of stuff that kind of saves you.
Louis.
Well, speaking of routines, you have a designed pre-game ritual that you go through every game, and it's the same every game?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same every game. I mean, I'm telling myself different things, just going through some things I need to do on the ice, but it started in like midgets. It used to be like you're in those small locker rooms, and to get away from everybody, you kind of have to get out of the locker room to have some alone time. And it used to be you could go to the rink because all the parents are having coffees or hot chocolates in the lobby, and no one's in the rink when you're in the minor hockey. So I just kept doing it, and more people kept filling the arenas as you get older and moving up in the levels. So there's more and more people around, but I didn't want to change the routine.
It's like Kevin Costner and For the Love of the Game, just quiet the mechanism out there.
Yeah, I mean, people have always been pretty good about it. I mean, you do hear some catcalling when you're on the road. I mean, that's to be expected. But for the most part, people are pretty good. They're more curious than anything, watching you go through everything.
Here's a question I asked Braden Holtby earlier in the season. Supposing something totally unexpected happened on the way to the rink and you couldn't get here on time to go through that ritual, you had to throw the pads on and play. Could you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fall apart because my routine falls apart. I'm not that crazy. Although there have been times when you feel that way, you feel anxious because you're not getting everything you feel you need. But as you get older, you kind of learn it's not all about having everything perfect. It's about just being in a good place for the game.
Goalie pants. The debate raged for a few years over how to make them smaller and still keep them safe, and now you're all wearing the more tailored pants. How did you end up at the forefront of the debate?
I mean, I was involved in the competition committee and the goaltending committee specifically for a while, so I've always had opinions, and I've had a relationship with Kay. What I found kind of funny was people would come to me with it and identify me with speaking out, but I mean, me and Kay are the ones who really tailored the proportional sizing, so it's not like I'm against it. It's just what I saw during that time was how much goes into it with the manufacturers and how hard it is to turn that big boat. You know, it's a bigger thing than people realize. There's all different companies, different measurements, different ways to wear things, and to get it right and have enough protection, I just felt it needed to kind of play out a little bit longer and have more involvement from the guys who are going to wear the stuff.
Have there been any other goalies that spoke out like you and gave their opinions?
I mean, everybody I talked to had a similar opinion. You know, we just wanted to be protected, and there were certain gaps in coverage, and then they went back and they added some things inside the new circumference to allow for some a little more outer and a little more inner leg protection that they really did remove. So I feel like we're in a pretty good spot, and I think by next year we'll have things kind of tailored and fair. What I'm hoping for is they go with a piece on the leg on the outside that is actually like pre-made with a curve to it that will protect the outer leg a little bit more.
Has your game changed because of the new pants?
I mean, it's not so much you change it, it's just there's certain things you trusted at the time, and now you have to get used to something else and trust that. And so before I would maybe trust a shot's going to hit, and I know where it's going to go, or I know I'm going to be able to trap it. Now I'm in a situation where, you know, I'm not feeling the same thing, so now I have to move into it. But once you get that in your head, like, okay, if it's going here, I got to make a little bit of a different save selection. Then you can kind of play with it. That's why I think, you know, guys are a little surprised changing in the season. But now I think everybody's kind of getting into rhythm.
Okay, we move on from pants. If I gave you $100 and said, fire the puck from the net, from the front of the net, through that little hole in the glass that photographers use to take pictures, about 40 or 50 feet away, could you do it?
I mean, on command.
Because you did in this game in Buffalo years ago.
That was definitely not on purpose. I was just trying to get it past the forechecker and unfortunately hit the guy in the face. I felt bad for him.
That was Steve Russell, I think, a photographer from the Toronto Star, and fortunately he was just bruised.
Yeah, luckily it was me shooting the puck.
I like you gave him the stick after.
Yeah, something to remember it by. The bruise would heal, but you know, hoping he was all right.
We expect athletes to have a social conscience, and you do. So this tweet is from Carol Ann Antiel. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Tell us about the Steadfast Foundation.
Well, Steadfast Foundation was inspired by my cousin Matt, who was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 16. And, you know, he passed away when he was 18 with complications from transfusion. So while he was in that fight, we wanted to inspire him and show him people were thinking of him. And so it started small, and we're just saying, hey, you know, people are thinking about
Started
you.
out selling T-shirts, right?
Yeah, just T-shirts, just things that had a message about him. And it was kind of in Buffalo or Michigan. And people were saying, hey, this is something interesting, you should do more. I think and it was people in Buffalo, you know, saying, hey, you should do more. And we felt like, yeah, okay, you know, it was exciting times in Buffalo. You know, we had, you know, the tension of the city and some good teams, and so I tried to use that moment to raise some money, and we partnered up with Carly's Club through Roswell Park Cancer Institute there, and we had about 7 or 8 fundraisers over the years, and raised a lot of money for the kids in Western New York, and we did a few things back in Michigan to kind of do the same with the Lansing area and the cancer initiatives.
Matt is remembered in a lot of ways, and one of which is that you have his initials on the back of your mask, so I'm guessing that for as long as you play, he'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, when he was going through that fight, I asked him what he thought about what should I have on my mask, and kind of gave him free rein. And you know, he thought I should have a bulldog on the back. So originally it was a bulldog all dressed up and looking tough, and you know, I had his nickname when he was born. I was younger, and we call him Matt Man. and that was just kind of what we ran with that nickname, and so that's how Matt was identified to us. It was always, hey, what's going on, Matt, man? And he was great young man, and his memory lives on.
That's beautiful work. Quickly, a tweet from Uncle Nish. We'll finish with this. As a veteran veteran goaltender, how would you mentor young goalies entering the league?
I think it's just getting confidence in your game and being able to move on night to night. Because really, that's what starts to make an NHL player, no matter if it's a goalie or defenseman or forward, is can you do it night to night, and can you do it in the deep part of the season.
Right.
It's you see a lot of guys coming to training camp flying high, and you see a lot of young rookies in that first 15, 20 games are really, really going. They got the energy, and then they'll taper off a bit, and it's hard to sustain.
All right, we got to go. Ryan, thanks for your time. Ryan Miller, 15 years into his pro career and still just a skinny kid from Michigan. He was our guest on After Hours. Back to conclude the proceedings from Rogers Arena in a moment.